Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction video. So, pretty much, we had a leak from the Biden campaign. We had an internal poll leak from the Biden campaign. Someone probably in his staff might have leaked it. Someone's involved with the campaign that leaked it. It had to be somebody. But, yeah, this is just terrible for Biden. His own internal polls have him losing in basically a near landslide to Donald Trump. Like, it's not even close. I'm just going to depict the map to you really quickly as I just fill it in here. But this kind of shows that Biden's in the toughest spot he's ever been in this entire election. After that first debate, he really had a chance to reset the race, and he blew it. And honestly, at this point, his path to the victory is just narrowing and narrowing more and more as we go on. So let me just set up the safe states. Yes, even Florida and Texas. I'm just putting it safe for now because they didn't put it in the internal polls. Just based off these numbers, Texas and Florida would be safe Republican based on this internal poll. So let's get right into it. Starting off with North Carolina and Georgia. Post-debate, these are both over 10% Trump leads, according to Biden's internal poll that was leaked. Even Nevada and Arizona. Arizona has Trump winning by 9.7%. Nevada, 8.8%. So there's both likely Republican states, according to Biden's internal poll. And the internal polls from the Biden campaign, they were actually very accurate for 2020. They said it was a much closer race, closer than all the pollsters were saying, and they were right. So I think this is something Biden should take note of, for sure, when he's considering whether or not to continue his campaign. But let's keep on going. Colorado, post-debate, is only a 2% Biden lead. That's crazy. That should suggest that possibly New York and New Jersey are likely Democratic. But for now, I'm keeping them safe blue because the poll didn't say anything about those two states. Moving on, we have the Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania and Michigan. Trump up at 7 in Pennsylvania, according to internal poll. Trump also up by nearly 7 points in Michigan as well, while Wisconsin, he's only up by 4. So moving on, Trump's already at 311 electoral votes. Even Nebraska's second is a Trump lead, according to that internal poll. Maine is also extremely close, but Biden's barely up here by 0.2%, so it's a tilt margin. In Minnesota, he's also barely up here by 0.4%. So he's still hanging on to Minnesota, but New Hampshire is pulling away from Biden, according to that poll. And even Virginia is tilt Republican. The poll had Trump up by 0.6%, and New Mexico had Trump up by 0.5% in the internal poll. So looking at this map, it's a Biden wipeout here. And honestly, it's tough to see where you could make up this, because Pennsylvania is the tipping point state in the poll. That's the closest state that Biden needs to get to win. But the fact that he's in this position after the debate, it really says that any Democrat would do better than him at this point. He really needs to consider dropping out of the race because it's looking untenable. Every day that goes by, Biden's position gets worse. We just keep coming out with more and more polls showing him down by more and more and more. It's to the point where a CNN poll released that had Biden down by 6 has Harris only down by 2. So it shows her doing way better with black voters, way better than with independents. So I'm just going to say this. Maybe we've been underestimating Kamala Harris this entire time. Maybe she's a lot stronger than we think she is. Because again, a lot of the polls that included Harris previously were right-leaning polls that were just pretty much right-wing pollsters. So the fact that Harris is pretty much energizing the base more compared to Biden. Again, Biden's 81 years old. I really don't think he would energize the base like Harris would at this point. And I think that Harris could fix her situation by picking a good vice president as her running mate. She could pick someone that's probably, she wants to balance the ticket, so probably some white male Democrat candidate would help balance it out. I think her best choice would be Roy Cooper, honestly. He's a term-limited North Carolina governor. They're having a new one. That would help her compete in North Carolina and Georgia, help her with black voters, help her with southern voters down there. Or she could go the other route with the Midwestern route by picking Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, to lock up Pennsylvania as that tipping point state. So she has two options there for VP. Or she could go with the most crazy option, which I saw on Twitter, which is picking Bernie Sanders as a VP to lock up the left-wing vote for the Democrats. And honestly, that would be a kind of crazy pick to see a Harris-Sanders ticket. It's not going to happen. It's probably going to be either Shapiro or Roy Cooper as the VP nominee if Harris becomes the nominee for the Democrats. But there really isn't much of a ballot issue with Harris becoming the nominee. She's already on the ballot as the VP choice here. And as long as they swap a candidate out before the convention, I really don't think there's an issue. And those 2 states where they did say they have issues with the ballot being, like, with the Democrats being replaced in Nevada and Wisconsin, those 2 states have Democrat Supreme Court majorities. They'll allow Harris to become the nominee and remain on the ballot there. They would be lenient to that. And I mean, considering that Biden's doing so badly against Trump according to his own internal polls that are very accurate in 2020, Biden's chances of winning are just plummeting day by day at this point. So honestly, I think it's more likely Biden drops out at this point than stays in. Because, listen, if you're down to the opposing candidate by 5, it's tough to see how you could come back from this. He isn't energetic anymore like he used to be. He's 81 years old. He's a very old candidate. I don't know how he could come back from this. And also, sentencing is no longer July 11th. It's in September for the New York trial. So that prevents another early Biden bump. So honestly, I think he needs to step aside at this point if Democrats want to have a chance at winning. They need to literally run any other Democrat and they would do better at this point. Anybody can do better. Biden's just extremely old. He's not going to be able to campaign as much as other younger Democrats. Harris, if she's the nominee, she'd campaign like crazy throughout these states. Campaign a lot more than Donald Trump would and would energize the base a lot more. So I do think Harris would be a way better candidate to run than Joe Biden would. I think Harris would be a good choice as a replacement for Biden. It kind of just makes sense. It wouldn't, because let's be honest here. If the Democrats were to nominate not Harris and pass over her, how would that look to black voters? That wouldn't look too good. I think they would be mad at that they skipped her. So I just think it's the best choice for Democrats to probably end up going with Harris. Even though I think Whitmer would be a way better candidate than her, I just think it would divide the party less if they just chose Harris as the nominee. Again, she could balance out the ticket by picking a good vice presidential nominee with her. So she could fix fractures within the party. So at this point, I don't know how Biden wins based on his own internal polls showing a wipeout like this. This is crazy to see this actually just happening here. But other than that, that's my current take. I think Biden needs to step aside at this point and let Harris or literally anybody else run, because look at this map. How is he going to come back from this? His own internal polls are saying this, that were very accurate in 2020. That's just my take currently. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.